Hey all, so finally starting to catch up on war videos again. Obviously, it was an eventful week. Just imagine with that many forum posts, what was happening on our end of things. Anywho, got a fun one here, relatively brief. Mr. Fantastic, of course, also Absorbing Man, and House of X. Funnily enough, I would have done at least one of these fights with Magneto, except my rank 4 is on defense because he's a tactic defender, and that makes sense and it's fine. I have answers. But we start this out with Reed because the special 1 stagger should be able to control armor ups as long as Surfer plays along even a little bit. And as soon as I say that, people at home know he probably isn't, right? So of course he throws this here a split second before I can. I was hoping to parry and then do another combo into a special 1 there. It is what it is. Unfortunately, if he then immediately goes for another heavy because I can't keep him off of this, then yep, there it is. He refreshes the armor up. It's okay. The power burn is not fun. Definitely not. But he did, him doing another power gain there was about as good as that possibly could be. Because that means he didn't start another armor break, but he also didn't get a Fury, and so he didn't refresh, or sorry, he didn't get another armor up, but he also didn't get a Fury, a new unique one, and so he didn't refresh the armor ups. And so that gave us a chance to get things back under control. Also, I knew that this, of course, could happen, but the regen from the armor breaks and the fact that Reed has, as I keep saying, energy resistance to help counter the power burn. At least I think this power burns energy. Maybe it's direct damage and it's just not that bad, but I think it's energy. Really help us there. So, not an ideal fight. If you can, you send Hulkling or Gallon to that, but definitely not a bad fight either. And we move on. I go ahead and take this Void here. We are, of course, going to be an Uru so that we're immune to shock and bleed. And basically, this is, as I've said before with Carl against Void, all about combo management. You don't parry because this is Conflictor. He can't benefit from the House of X pre-fight. And if you do mess up the combo, it's going to sting because of class disadvantage. The fight is going to take longer, again, because of class disadvantage. One benefit of this one over the earlier hazard shift nodes is that you're actually not locked out of part of your damage. It's not really a big deal because the critical physical bursts are every bit as valid as the critical energy bursts because Void doesn't have any kind of resistance to one or the other. But it's more of a, I'll call it like an aesthetic improvement almost, maybe a spiritual one, because it does make me a little bit sad to be in magma form against somebody who's incinerate immune and just know I'm missing out on all of those incinerates. It's not a big deal. But either way, this is just a really solid matchup purely on immunities. It could definitely go south if you're not careful or if you get hit and just those debuffs sit on you for a while. A smaller Absorbing Man played poorly definitely can lose here. But this is a hazard shift fight, and that's what he's built for, and he proves it. And so after that, we move on to this Korg. It would be nice if Carl could benefit from the Magneto pre-fight, but obviously he can't, as he is neither hero nor metal. And so we're just going to make sure we never parry. Because if we parry, Korg is likely going to purify, and that feeds both power creep and second wind, as well as also giving him extra prowess and power gain for the global. So we're just going to try and avoid all that. If we land crits, we will give him prowess that way, and so we're going to try and avoid that, but Carl's naturally low crit rate and Korg's crit resistance should help us out there. I should have noticed that the spacing was off on that first heavy counter when the second light didn't connect, or possibly even before. Going for the third one and getting parried was pretty predictable, but it happens. We are getting back on top of things. We throw the special 2 here. We're now able to refine. Those incinerates are doing extra damage because Korg does have negative energy resist. But this is definitely not my cleanest Korg fight. If I fought this way against the bosses that I had taken the previous seasons, I probably would have been in a little bit of trouble. But that's okay. Things are going all right. These are lower attack values, and we're getting through it. We get back up here before we lose the refine, and down we go. You did see a couple prowess there. I did get hit, but at the end of the day, if you're good at the heavy counter and you go for it enough to keep the refine, Carl is a very good counter for Korg almost anywhere, as that proved. So we move on to this Mordo here. This is the primary reason that I have House of X on the team. I think it might actually be the only reason. Yep, there, we use it there. And this is just to allow Reed to parry heavy to keep up his debuffs. That's the only purpose of this. That said, this is Mordo. This is power efficiency. We're just going into this fully expecting his AI to be rude. That is what it does pretty much every time. Yeah, fully expecting it. But as much as we can, we're going to bait out the special 1. And as much as we can, we are going to parry heavy regularly. We're going to go for those even when we don't need to, because we are going to try and just basically always have those heavies available so that we can hit him and pass the falter on like we just did there. It's worth throwing the special 1 over the special 2 sometimes if it gets the falter off of you. So obviously this right here is not ideal. We lose the debuffs because Mordo does his trademark. Even though I don't have my power gain on me, I'm going to be weirdly defensive. And then the minute that you try and heavy, even though I have my power gain and I'm supposed to be more defensive, I'm going to try and hit you in the face. So Reed's evade saved us. Mordo throws a special 3 anyway. It is what it is. That heavy annoyed me. The special 3 I was ready for. I know that Reed is tanky. I know that Reed reduces special 3 damage by 25%. And maybe I was actually trying to push him to another special 3 there to lock in the passive. It's okay. I'm just not worried about how hard Mordo hits pretty much ever. But that's just so annoying. That's like so textbook why everyone hates fighting him, because even when you do the things that you're supposed to do to get around his AI, every once in a while, he'll just throw you the finger. It's okay. It's expected. That's why we're using such a hard counter. We know we can eat all of the special 3s. I am getting no passives here. But the good news is that having those as debuffs instead of passives means that we have access to more despair. We reverse the regen from the special 3 that much more. And this fight is over in short order. Is what it is. I don't necessarily enjoy having to heal up this much for Mangog, but such is war. We move on. We are very pointedly not using the Magneto House of X pre-fight. I've talked about this before. The Petrify Mastery only works on stun debuffs, not stun passives. And so if you use that pre-fight, you have more time to land your heavies, but they're going to be giving your opponent much more power. And that is not a trade-off worth making at all. Now, I have seen more and more people taking this fight this season because Spider-Man 2099 and Scorpion have been such incredibly popular bands. And so I've also seen a fair number of people lose this fight. And I think I had kind of lost track of some of the nuances because I've done it so many times that I've stopped speaking to some of them. And so I want to address a little bit of that. One thing you'll notice is that I'm parrying the special 1s when I can, but I am staying so open that I am risking getting hit by them. Because I would much rather be hit by a special one, eat the entire thing, than dex once and accidentally trigger evade when I don't want to, give the opponent a bunch of power because of the boost to ability power on the node, and then eat a special 2 while I'm still baiting out the special 1 for passives. As I've said before, it can even be good to be hit by the special 1 because it ramps you faster. So you basically almost never dex in this fight. It is better to parry heavy again and stay open, even if it pushes the opponent close to the special 2, than it is to dex and bait out this special 1, but basically guarantee that you are going to push them to the next special 2. That is not what you want to do. I've talked about some of the nuances in other videos, but the one other thing that I will say, since we don't have much time left here, is that if you do push Mangog to his first special 2, immediately lock down. Block all the time. Never finish your combos. Stop throwing heavies. And treat it like Kingpin versus Null. Do those 4-hit combos and immediately block. Your only goal in the fight is to push him to a second special 2 immediately. Because you can eat 2 special 2s with Reed as long as you are keeping those careful study debuffs up and then turning them into a passive. What you cannot do on this fight is eat a special 2, then have Mangog throw a special 1. You trigger dex, maybe you lose your debuffs along the way, and now he has another full power special 2. That is how you die with Mr. Fantastic on this fight, and therefore it is your primary mission to avoid that. So obviously you bait the special 1s if you can. And you do that by parry heavying a lot and staying super open and trying to basically just never dex. But if the special 1 bait isn't happening and he throws the special 2, then the only focus of the fight after that point is to push him to another special 2. So think about the fight in those terms, and it is quite safe. I have done it probably literally 100 times now, maybe more. And I think the only times that I have ever died have been when I've used a House of X pre-fight. And one of those times, on top of it, just had the most spectacular AI that insisted on throwing the special that I wasn't trying to get him to throw in perfect alternation into my block. And if that happens, you lose, right? But if that happens, pretty much anyone loses, so I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. The fight is very safe if you follow those rules. Anywho, we did end up winning this war, which was very nice because they triple donutted us last season. Kind of a freak performance. It's a good alliance, but that's not normal for most of us. And yeah, they brought it against us last time. We had a bit more of a representative performance from both of us this time, and ours did manage to be a little bit better. And so we're moving into the famous canceled war everybody knows about coming up in a decent position. I think we just crossed over into the bottom of Masters, I think we were already in the bottom of Masters as of the previous one, and so we were headed into War 9 in a pretty good spot. We'll talk more about War 10 after that, but I will give kind of a sneak preview. I did finally bring Kate Bishop to war, and so there will be plenty to talk about in the next video because of that. Until then, hope you enjoyed this one, and thank you so much for watching, and take care.